Problem number 3 is y equals negative 5x squared minus 7. This is the first binomial that we're dealing with in this homework assignment. And our first thing that we're supposed to do is determine whether this opens upward or opens downward. So we need to look at the leading coefficient. To find the leading coefficient, again, we have to put this in standard form. It's in standard form, descending order of powers. So that means that this must be our leading coefficient, negative 5. Not the x squared, but just that negative 5. Since that is a negative number, smaller than 0, that means we have a downward opening parabola. It's going to look like this rather than like this. Part B, we're asked to find the vertex. So to find the vertex, I need to use my handy formula. Occurs at x equals negative b over 2a. So that means that I have to have this in standard form. It's not in standard form right. It is in standard form right now, but I only have 2 letters. I need to know my a, my b, and my c. So if I only have, 2 numbers, I need to write this in a form that's going to give me all 3 of them. I have an x squared term, and I have my constant term. Those go at the front and the end, but I don't have an x term. So I have 0 x's. So if anything is ever missing, its coefficient must be 0. So my x's are missing, the coefficient on the x's must be 0, and that tells me what my b is. So a is negative 5, b is 0, and c is negative 7. X is equal to negative 0 over 2 times negative 5, and 0 divided by anything is 0, which means that my x coordinate is 0. So I have 0 comma something. Now whenever my x is 0, that makes it a lot easier to evaluate the y. I'm going to recopy my original equation. Y is equal to negative 5x squared minus 7. And then I'm going to make the substitution. I know that my x is 0, so y is equal to negative 5 times 0 squared minus 7. And order of operations doesn't really matter in this case, but I do my exponents before I do my multiplication, and then I'm going to subtract. So y is equal to, this is all 0 minus 7. So that gives me y is equal to negative 7. Ultimately, I have the vertex at 0 comma negative 7. And again, 2 coordinates, part of the same point. It's not 2 different solutions. This is our x coordinate, this is our y coordinate. Now for part C, we're supposed to find the determinant. And our determinant occurs, d is equal to b squared minus 4ac. I go back up and I'm going to grab these coefficients again, negative 5, 0, negative 7. So d is equal to 0 squared minus 4 times negative 5 times negative 7. And that gives me that d is equal to 0 squared is 0 minus, let's double check this sign. This is going to be 140. And negative times a negative is a positive, times another negative is a negative. So that gives me that d is equal to negative 140. And part D is tied in with C. I know that my d, my discriminant, is negative. I know it's smaller than 0, so that means that I have no zeros. I'm not going to have any real solutions to this quadratic. So for part E, I am going to leave it blank. Just leave that guy blank. I can't really say whether something is rational or irrational if it doesn't exist. If you're let's not go there. And part F, we have no real solution. So once we find out the discriminant is negative, it becomes a really easy problem. Everything else is kind of just doesn't really work. No real solution.